All right, let's call a meeting in order. Start with pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Let's start with the September blue ribbon.
Yeah, so, as an administrative team, we decided that each year we're going to, or each month, we're going to be recognizing one of our staff members for being a blue ribbon user, similar to how the schools have been doing it. So for the month of September, we recognized Haley from our food service department. The little word that was shared when we recognized her is included in the board minutes. But Haley has been managing the middle school kitchen basically on her own due to staffing shortages, and many different staff members check in with her to see if she needs help. And she always says, no, I know exactly what I need to do. I'm good. I've got this. And she truly does. She manages it all on her own with support from other folks intermittently. She knows all of the kids by name. She knows their special dietary needs. She greets them with a smile. They know her. They enjoy seeing her every day. So I feel like balancing all of that while also going to school for a college degree is remarkable. Being able to juggle both. So congratulations to Haley. I wish she was here, but I hope she's home watching. She may be in class right now. So hopefully she'll see this later if she's not watching right now.
Very good. And I mean, I can't think of a more important job than keeping our kids healthy and happy and well fed. I just congratulations, Taylor. Very good.
Thank you. That's really fantastic.
And is she going to do a presentation then?
I don't think she would be up for a presentation, but
All right. Very good. Next is the audit committee report. Victor, do you want to give us your?
Certainly. Do you prefer me to stay seated?
Whatever you'd like.
Okay. So we just did the audit committee meeting and went through the report. In your documents that I handed out to the board, unfortunately, I pulled mine out, so I'm not sure where it is, but there is a single page. And this is the summarized version of the presentation. We went through the detail with the audit committee, and the important highlights for this current year have to do with what is the overall audit opinion. It's unmodified, which is a clean opinion. The single audit opinion is also unmodified, and we're required to do an audit of the extra classroom activities. Now that's the clubs in the middle school and high school, and that is also unmodified. The bottom of the one page, if you do find it, is list the partner, myself as a director, and Sean Bannon, who is the in charge on the audit, and our offices. I don't know if there was anything specific that the audit committee wanted me to bring forward for the full board presentation. We do randomly select different controls, and we did make a couple of observations this year with respect to those controls. And nothing, again, everything is a clean opinion. It's unmodified, so nothing was significant enough to have any impact on the audit report that's going to be issued.
Very good. I mean, from at least from my place on the audit committee, this stuff is so complicated to me, to I don't want to say normal human beings, but it is very complicated. It never stops. It seems to never stop changing. You can put it over here. No, you can put it over there. You can have this much. No, you can't. Yes, you can. Maybe you can. We're not sure if you can. I mean, it's the guidance out of the state is always seem to be difficult, and yet we do very, very well. And I'd like to thank our financial team, our business team, for doing such a good job in keeping up with this and staying ahead of not just the regulations, but the unique parts of every transaction. So very good. That's my take on it. Jen, Chris?
I think that, it should be noted that there are certain things that could be mandated by the state that is not always aided by the state. And I think our team does a really good job of, planning and making sure that things are where they should be and, looking forward and kind of anticipating. So I'm very grateful for that. Because you probably don't always get the direction that you need, maybe not as quickly as you need, and it's tough to juggle. So you guys do a great job.
You know, I would agree with both of you. I mean, it's overly complicated, I think, for what it needs to be, but I mean, there's a lot of moving parts, so it kind of has to be. But yeah, the state doesn't give the best direction, in my opinion, either, as far as what needs to happen and when it needs to happen.
Very good. Ashley, did you want to say anything?
No, I appreciate it and look forward to continuing.
And, you know, the one subject that we talked about was, if there are things that are manual that we can do a better job of automating, you know, please bring it to our attention. Because it's just, we can't waste any of our valuable resources. So the best thing is if there's a way to make it solid. I don't know how you automate something that changes every year, but that's a whole different subject, but please don't hesitate. Yeah,
Appreciate that.
very good. Okay. Very good.
And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Victor.
Thank you,
Have a great
Victor.
evening.
All right. Next is consent agenda. Anything anybody wants to pull completely off of it?
I have a question on 19, actually.
Can we, is it? Okay.
It's, yeah, it can just, it doesn't have to be full, just a question.
Okay. Okay, do
Nothing.
I, oh, yeah. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Questions, concerns?
okay, on 19, I know there's a lot of different tech equipment, as well as tablets or whatever else. Yeah. I know it's not, like it says in the disposal form, it says not supported, Chromebooks, old equipment. Does any of it get recycled out or does it just get tossed?
Well, Chromebooks specifically, our replacement cycle does have them reused. So we do extend the life as much as we can. When they do go end of support, they do become a security risk. And so we upcycle them with a vendor that will take them and reuse the parts if we can.
They don't just end up in a landfill. That's all I want to make
No,
sure.
we have an electronic recycling firm that makes sure that anything that's viable can be reused or, I mean, upcycled is the name, so for that reason. But even internally, we've begun standardization of Chromebooks during the pandemic. We went to Dell 3100s so that even as the Chromebooks themselves become newer, if we stay with the same models, we can reuse keyboard screens, things like that. So even internally, we do try to almost say cannibalize, but really maximize the ability to use some of them, scavenge them for parts if needed before we go ahead and recycle them.
The same with printers or any other equipment.
Absolutely. Even today, part of this lot, there were a number of smart boards that came out of classrooms in favor of these new Promethean boards. And so the team was looking at sensors, peripherals, the projector units themselves. So anything that they could use as shelf stock in case of emergency or emergency repair or replacement to minimize downtime for instruction. We did that and then we disposed of this one.
great. I just wanna, I know it's a throwaway society, but we should not be filling up landfills with things that can be, used, like cannibalized for other purposes.
Agreed, and I will say just on that topic, because computer equipment is security related, that no hard drives are given out with any sort of information that could be private or proprietary or confidential in any way.
Thank you.
Very good. Other questions? Concern? All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Okay. Let's see. I was gonna talk, so next is the leadership reports. I was gonna talk about, Dutchess County School Board Association. We had our first meeting of the year. There's a program that was described to us. Portrait of a student.
Graduate,
What is it?
portrait of graduate.
Portrait of a graduate. It sounded a lot, no, number one, it is not, a mandated program. Number two, it's not, as usual, not funded whatsoever. But it was very confusing to me. It talked about, having students, show that they can do advanced problem solving. But it didn't really talk about, if you're an artistic student, is finding a good canvas a problem that you would solve. I mean, it was just a weird thing. I did not have a chance to sit down with Caroline yet and have her explain it to me because I just didn't get it at all. But that was the majority of the discussion and I will send you guys the presentation. There's something that struck me as not good, and I don't know what it is. It feels like we're gonna redo the way we graduate students or the way we assess the student for readiness for graduation. Yet there's, like I said, there's no money, right now, there doesn't appear to be any support. Like staff that would come and help you figure this all out. So we'll bring that back as soon as I get more information on it. Let's see. We have the NISBA voting, stuff in front of us. Dina, you're I think the majority of the stuff, it sounded like the majority of the folks in Dutchess County were all aligned with the issues that we discussed before. So I'm not all that worried about, but I don't know if there's anything that you wanted at this point to ask about, like, is the board okay on number 27 or?
Yeah,
So if you wanted to take a few moments to do that.
okay, thank you. Well, it's gonna be held a little bit differently this year. It's gonna be on Thursday, October 10th. And this year, we're not gonna be able to debate any of the issues, so that time has passed. It's just gonna be voting yes or no. And just asking clarifying questions, but based on what we have talked on prior board meetings, I think my questions are more, so like number 10, do we support hybrid buses as an alternative to 100% zero emissions by 2035?
I'll give you my opinion. No, I mean, I haven't heard of a hybrid bus that exists yet. I don't know how, I mean, part of our problem was the batteries. The buses themselves are too heavy to go on some of our roads. We still don't have any sort of estimates of, I mean, the problem with electric buses for us is it can't go out, get the high school kids, get them here, go back out, get the little kids, bring them here. It can't do that, so we need twice as many buses. I don't know if hybrid fixes that, because no one can really explain what hybrid is, so my take on it, and, you know, I'll leave this to the board, is no, I mean, until you tell me what they do and how they do it and how much it's gonna cost us, because there's no funding for any of the busing stuff. There are companies that have been coming out, at least one, that has come out and said, hey, we can, I don't know if it's electrify or hybrid, but we can take care of all that for you. Now, you know, how's that going? Sure you can if we triple our busing budget. So to me, right now, personally, there's just too many unknowns to say yes to a hybrid busing.
Okay,
But no, please. That's just.
I was it phrased, then, would you be open for the discussion? Is that what?
sorry, let me just go to it. For NISBA to support hybrid electric buses as an alternative option to the New York State 100% zero emission electric school bus fleet mandate by 2035. And so numbers 1 through 25 are what NISBA is saying we should adopt as a whole, and then 26 through, I think it's 35, is saying what they would not recommend be adopted. So this is number 10, which is something they are trying to push forward.
So the problem being, if you say no, are you saying that you want fully electronic?
Right, what's the alternative?
Are you saying, you know what I mean? That's the fear of that.
So their rationale is that hybrid is better than just
Well,
completely electric.
It's
Right, the
cheaper.
way it's
Yeah,
worded,
that's-
it's not
right.
clear.
Yeah, that's true.
Are you allowed to like ask for clarity on it, or it's literally just like, here's your yes and
So
no?
I don't know what the scope of clarity will be in terms of like these questions of, well, what does a hybrid bus look like? What would be the difference? Or just understanding of the question, because if we're not allowed to debate it, I'm not sure how that's gonna work out, because I feel like that might turn to debate, so I'm really not sure this year.
And I don't think they won't let you say, Milford says no because it's just Milford
Yeah.
says no.
We vote electronically, so I just click yes or no.
And they did move it out by 5 years. Because originally it was 2030. But
I think that's because they can't.
Yeah.
Fulfill
Yeah,
those
possible.
orders.
Right, yeah.
So they had to do something about that.
Maybe if everyone can email me, I can like do a tally of votes of yes or no on the issues, and because I have some more. So not everyone has to decide now, they can email me, I don't know if that's okay.
Yeah, we can't do that.
Oh, okay.
We can't.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, it's a better option just because you're gonna get more mileage. You might be able to make the longer trips, you know, that type of thing. I don't think expense, I don't think it'll be any cheaper. I mean, my concern is what do you do with the millions of buses that are out there now?
Right, I've also not
And I
heard
can't
of any
retrofit it.
hybrid bus outfitters. This
No.
is
Well,
the
yeah,
first I've
that's-
heard of hybrid bus.
Right. Are you in favor of something that doesn't exist? I mean, honestly.
May or may not exist.
Right.
I mean, just because NISBA supports it for its own political reasons doesn't,
Right.
I mean, we could say yes, doesn't mean anything. At the time, when it's being forced down our throat, we can say no. I mean, for whoever's.
But there's none of the above
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah.
right,
I will say that the diversity and, equity, thank you, and inclusivity committee said no position, so they're like, yes, no, so they don't even have a position.
Oh,
Interesting.
so that's
so
not.
what do you think, Howard? Yes, no? I mean,
Not vote for it.
I know it's kind of a guess, I mean, because we
If we
don't know.
don't answer it, then we don't vote, we abstain. I would
Yes, Can
abstain.
you abstain?
You know, just not.
You just don't vote on that issue.
That's another option.
I don't know what message that sends.
Well, maybe that, let them know that it's not clear, it's not really clear.
It's not clear.
In Millbrook, no matter what, we're saying.
Yeah.
We're not gonna do it, you don't. I don't know,
I don't know.
really.
I'm okay.
You okay with abstaining,
I'm okay with abstaining.
Chris?
Yeah.
Jen?
Yep.
David?
I would lean toward yes if anything, but I'm okay.
Chris?
Yeah, I'm the same as everybody else.
All right, sorry, give me a second.
And if they ask you why,
Tell them to call
They
Perry.
will.
yeah.
Okay. Number 13, crowded universal pre-K would prioritize economically disadvantaged and non-English speakers.
Say that.
What did you?
So if the universal pre-K is too saturated and then we cannot take in a certain number of students, it would go priority to non-English speakers and the economically disadvantaged.
And it has to be those two groups together. Like that's,
And or
So the way it works right now is that school districts have to come up with a process for a lottery system. That doesn't necessarily differentiate or give, additional chance to any subgroup. And so this is suggesting that in a situation, if we say only had 30 seats and we had 50 kids, this is saying that we would prioritize students who fall into either the English language learner category or low socioeconomic category.
And when would that final decision be made? Because you could have parents who have assumed that they got in, will want them to 30, and then at the last minute are getting kicked out.
Right, and so that doesn't sound like that answers that question, but would you support a system that would prioritize
Would
these students is what's at debate right now, and then I'm assuming that if this was something that carried, that we would get guidance from the state that this is how we had to do by such and such date. And that's tricky it's really tricky situation.
Is the supporting this or
yes, supporting.
they're supporting it?
So the ones I'm going through now, they are supporting, and then I'll let you know what it turns.
Okay.
I think for me, it would be a no.
Mhm. For me, it would be a no. I would not, this is not called using the term that certain people want to call equity and inclusion when you start putting subgroups over other subgroups or I'm a no.
I understand the point. The equalize
Right.
students before they get into kindergarten,
But would it equalize? So not one group over another, I mean,
Including other
no.
people.
Okay, so Howard, no.
What
David,
are
no. Chris?
the two, I'm sorry,
Economically disadvantaged and English language learners.
Because in theory, you can pump people out. I mean,
Yeah.
you could be in.
Yes. No, for me too, so that's no.
Number 15 is just about initiative to build pools and get state funding for schools to build and maintain pools. For the New York Women. Right.
The one the high school is.
that would
Where
solve
is
the
that?
problem pretty soon. That would solve the problem.
We have single pane windows, but let's build a pool.
You know what worries me is that U project in Poughkeepsie.
Yeah.
It looks like it's completely bust. They tore the building down. There's a big chain link fence around it. And it hasn't gone anywhere, which is exactly what I told them in Dutchess County over a year ago. And that's public basketball, pool, all that. I mean, I don't know if there's some way they could use that to fund, to regenerate funding for you, but it's gonna take away from any funding that we need to just run the district. Um,
And what does it look like when you support that?
Yeah.
You know, versus all these other things that are desperately needed.
all right,
No.
Chris,
No.
Jen, David, Chris, Barry, no.
allowing, do we support allowing school districts to opt out or decline transportation services? So reading number 16, it is not very clear to me if that means the school district can decline to the family or if the family declines to the district. I didn't understand it even from the rationale given. The Diversity, Equity, and Inclusivity Committee opposes it. But it seems like just because a lot of families might drive their kids to school and because transportation is so expensive, to be able to see who's really riding the bus and then trim down that transportation schedule and busing to who actually takes it instead of, and letting, so I suppose allowing families to say, no, we're not gonna take the bus. And then basing the budget and transportation schedule around the way.
Families can say that now. No, we're not gonna take.
But we still have to, but we would.
We still have the route based
Correct,
on
yeah.
full ridership.
Correct.
This is saying we wouldn't have to do that. We would, if 20 parents told us they weren't going to ride the bus, then we could say, okay, we can do it 2 less buses.
What if the parents the next day says they changed their
Non-
mind?
Right, but what if
exactly.
circumstances
But
change?
I'm not sure if that, like, basically allows us to say, sorry, you told us no.
I mean,
For maybe a year.
I wouldn't be opposed to saying yes, it doesn't mean we have to implement it, we could
Yeah.
always, if another school district did it,
It's true.
we could see how it worked.
Oh, could save
And we
money.
do think that's what it is, that the parents are able to opt out. Okay.
But I would think it also gives us the right to then say, you know, because right now, they can opt out. And then the next day, so they can come back and say, hey, I want to put my kid on the bus,
My
and
circumstances.
we can't do
change.
anything about that.
Mhm.
That sounds like that gives us the right to say, you opted out, you gotta drive.
Mhm.
I don't see why we wouldn't say yes. I mean, first one. Howard?
Yeah, okay.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm okay.
Yeah.
David?
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, so number 22, oppose mixed competition and extra class athletic activities, which is to not have males join female sports.
So is this specific to the more recent changes? Because
Yeah,
In-
mixed competition has always existed.
it's always existed, but in general, it's been, for instance, if a girl wants to play on a boys team because the same sport's not available or something like that, this would be more in the way of.
They're both available, but you can play whichever one you want, so.
So there's been lots of modifications. So what's always been is that there's sort of like an impact test. So males can also participate in traditionally female sports. But there has to be like an assessment of how it would impact the sport, the team, the safety, et cetera. Some of the mixed competition proposals that have come out recently completely remove gender from the conversation. And so I think that the concern is they're also getting away from some of the physical maturity testing, those assessments of safety, et cetera. And so I think that there's sort of an off balance of how do we make it inclusive with how do we keep people safe, right?
Creating hazards.
Correct. So it's like, that's the piece. So there was a bit of a walk back on this, and I was under the impression that it was tabled for right now, but it seems like maybe this is just NISBA taking a position one way or the other. So can you read the wording of that again?
Sure. So, NISBA, for NISBA to oppose the proposed amendments to sections 135.1, 135.4, and 135.5 of the Commissioner of Education's regulations related to mixed competition and extra class athletic activities. And what I believe, if you look at number 22, like you were saying about the impact test, they want to remove from the current legislative or governing guidelines, the phrase significant adverse effect, if they get part of that
Yes,
testing.
that's what it is.
And so the rationale behind this is that it would affect female students and not make it safe and fair for predominantly female sports and students.
Yeah, I think that, just in general, like the education community is sort of in a position where if this passes, there's going to be, the potential for two types of lawsuits. Either my female student didn't get to participate because this has been taken over by biological males. Or, I guess three types of lawsuits, or my female was, injured really badly by, a biological male because of, an advantage kind of thing. And I guess the third would be refusing to allow a male to participate because it would have a significant adverse impact. And so I think we're in a lose-lose situation. If they remove the safety piece, I think unfortunately, it is going to be a hazard for some students.
It opposes that.
Say yes, we agree with them.
We want to keep them as it is, not amend them.
Yeah.
No amendments.
So we,
As it is, we would have.
We agree with
agree with
his
the-
opposition.
Right, yeah,
Okay.
and the DEI, opposes, opposing the amendment.
Yeah,
Of course.
And I think the athletic community is asking for a middle ground. How do we keep people safe and also allow lane for inclusion? So as we said, mixed competition has always existed, but there's also been a safety component to it. And I think there's a big concern for removing this safety in its entirety and also no reference to gender.
I mean, Howard, you,
No, I agree with Nisbet's opposition.
Chris?
Okay.
I don't know if it's for or against, I want status quo.
Yeah.
No,
keep
no,
it
back.
as it is. Yes, yes.
Okay.
My last one for this section is minimizing or refusing field testing. That's number 24. The rationale was that it may cause students stress and anxiety. I can read it. So NISBA, so that the New York State School Board Association advocates for the minimization of field testing and school district decision-making rights to refuse to participate in field testing without penalty from the New York State Education Department. And the rationale was because of the effect it could have on students and taking up valuable class time.
Yeah, thank you.
So, every year for state exams, they send out, the test questions to the field. So that they can calibrate what is, like a reasonable question. So it's like Regents exams and things like that. So they'll send out a bunch of, test questions essentially. So, we get hit quite frequently. I think they try to take a different sampling of school districts. So sometimes kids in like 11th grade will have, algebra 2 trig, they'll have chemistry, all within the same year. And yeah, valuable class time. It's just more testing for, no reason, right? There is no educational outcome other than sit here and do this. I'm not really sure how valid the results are, to be quite honest with you, because they don't count for the students. They go back to the state and the state uses them to
So just
calibrate.
like if 90% got it wrong, then maybe it's not a fair question.
Yeah.
That's the intent, right? But if I know this doesn't matter for me, like I might not even really take it seriously,
Yeah.
and then who knows
Right.
what's a real, like
And it's
realistic
done,
question
it's done every year?
every year.
And what value does it get us? I mean, do we get extra funding if
No.
we're on the right
Us,
side?
nothing, the student, nothing. It makes a job for somebody in state.
Well, and realistically, there's other ways to do it, right? There's ways to embed those questions within a Regents exam, just like they do with the SATs and ACTs, and it could just be like, question number 16 is a field test question, right? You asked, whatever, they don't tell you that, but when it goes back up to the state, they can calibrate it that way while kids are actually engaged in focus.
And NISBA supports this or opposes it?
24, they support it.
It's a course elimination.
Eliminate.
Elimination?
I'm sorry, they support minimizing. it.
Minimizing, oh, okay.
Sorry.
All right, so it's minimizing, not completely.
Howard, you good?
Yep.
Chris?
So the next 26 through 37 are what NISBA is opposing. One moment. So number 26, this is always a hot topic, the eliminating the Regents exam.
And NISBA says they,
They support legislation to eliminate the Regents exam.
So purely based on the teacher,
I'm sorry.
how would you receive a regent's grade?
You wouldn't.
Would.
You would get rid of the whole regions.
Right.
How many, Caroline, how many states
No,
even do
Seven.
regents? testing
It's
anymore?
just us.
Yeah,
Yes.
that would
I
be
don't
my
believe
question.
California does anymore.
Nobody else.
It says New York is one of 7 states that still require students to pass the exams to receive a high school diploma.
but
Okay.
that says Regents exams to get a high school diploma of any kind, right? You don't need necessarily have to have a Regents diploma.
Okay. Yeah.
Caroline, if they get rid of the test, they get rid of the regents diploma as well, right?
So interestingly enough, there's like a parallel conversation that's happening right now with the Blue Ribbon Commission that has proposed a single diploma. So there will be a single high school credential, exit credential, and then all of these things would become designations. So I think that if this happens, it will likely be as a mandatory portion of graduation requirements, but there will still probably be the availability of some mechanism for like a regent's designation or an advanced designation kind of thing.
Kind of how you spend.
I know it used to be.
I mean, if New York's the only state, what? I don't know if you can even answer this, but what type of credence do colleges and universities give when students are applying from New York? Does it really mean anything? Like, what does it get them?
Right.
Probably on most of the schools.
So I think that we had done a bit of this work, way back when, prior to the IB diploma, because a lot of these conversations were happening. Schools outside of New York State are not interested in Regents diplomas, but universally schools are looking for like a rigorous course load, right? So taking whatever the availability of honors, AP, college level courses, that's what they're looking for. They're a lot less concerned with Regents classes, because I think there's no equalizer, right? Like what does a Regents mean in comparison to a kid from Nevada? Like,
Well,
who knows?
the parents that came back to us a while ago, the one that we were talking about IB, they were looking at advanced courses that can also,
Yield college.
they don't have to pay for the credits or, whatever, which sounds like this would lead more towards that.
So a regent's diploma. I mean,
It used to
New York
be-
State, I don't
it really doesn't.
No. It used to be an optional thing, as you probably remember, and when you were growing up, it's like
Well,
you took regents classes or you
didn't grow
you
up.
just got a regular. Now it's pretty much across the board, everyone is regents, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, so typically speaking, every student is. Every student is required to pass 5 Regents exams to graduate.
Mhm.
So, our students are all on a Regents track until they're otherwise designated to not be. So that would be a student who is designated as a student for alternate assessment, through like their IUP services and their IDEI. Otherwise, all of our students are Regents 7 students. And they've created some additional pathways of how students can earn those, 5 Regents equivalents. Yeah, there's like a whole career pathway. There's like CTLE credits that they can do kind of thing to put it together and have it be a course of study that can qualify as one of the Regents exams. But typically speaking, it's 1 math, 1 ELA, 1 science, 1 social studies plus 1. So it could be like the global and US history gives them the 5th, or like 2 maths or 2 sciences give them the 5th.
The thing that bugs me the most about it is in the later years, you spend the majority of your year trying to pass that test.
Hmm.
So all the
So-
stuff you learn is to try to pass
To
that
what,
test.
right, to what?
And I don't know how much more it limits the teachers in their way, I mean, but it does limit, I would think, in their flexibility of how they wanna teach something, because they're really just trying, their main focus is to get the students to prepare for the test. I could be wrong by saying that, that's just my own opinion. but-
So NISBA, just one more time, NISBA opposes,
To eliminate the region.
Supports.
Oh.
No, they are opposing to adopt elimination of the regions.
So,
Really?
Yes.
I thought you said the opposite way.
I thought it was the
Oh, I'm
opposite
sorry.
when you first.
they,
So they
So-
want to keep
so they wanna
regions.
keep.
Correct. And so the rationale is that, I think, Chris, you mentioned this, to make sure that across New York State, teachers are being effective and having that as a measuring component somehow. And they do mention in the rationale that there is the Blue Ribbon Commission, like you mentioned. But it said this is an alternative. They don't want to repeal the Regents exam completely. There might be other ways of getting high school.
So yes is in favor with this, but no is you want gone. Correct,
Yes is saying
No.
keep the
Keep
region.
it the region.
to keep it, right?
Howard,
You keep talking, it sounds like double negatives, but,
Yeah, it is a double negative.
Yes,
So
right.
NISBA is
No, no, right.
opposing
yes.
legislation to get rid of it.
Yeah.
You saying yes is supporting legislation.
I'm sorry, I think I misspoke. It's not that we would say yes, that we support, yes, I'm sorry. We would say yes, we support the legislation to eliminate it.
Wait a minute.
Oh,
we
so
will
yes,
vote
we're
in
eliminating it?
NISBA is saying no to legislation.
Correct.
The question is whether you would like to support legislation to get rid of it.
oh, we're not,
Oh.
a yes or no, we're not,
We had to
whether
agree or
we're
disagree.
supporting NISBA.
Yeah, maybe.
It's not necessarily we're supporting NISBA, but whether we agree with the resolution, and so NISBA is saying, don't agree with this
Okay, so the
resolution.
resolution
There you go.
is to get rid of it.
Yes,
And that's what we're.
So
Got it.
yes is eliminate, then no
Yeah.
is keep.
Oh,
Okay.
all right, Howard,
Yes, it needs to be modified.
Chris,
Yes, I don't understand the value.
Yeah.
Yes,
David,
Hesitant, yes, I'd rather know what they're replacing it with, or deciding to get rid of it.
well, I
I
don't
don't
think
think anything.
I mean, that thing I was talking about is what they're talking about replacing it with.
Yeah.
And like clear as mud,
Yeah, so I'd rather see that flushed out first.
so.
Yes, eliminate.
number 29 is to repeal, okay, I'm sorry, so to advocate for the repeal of the law that removed the religious moral exemption to immunization. So if we say yes, then we are in support of advocating for that repeal. So we would like there to be a religious moral exemption to immunization.
Then what is?
Wait, can you say that?
Does
Okay.
any?
So
well,
do we
immunization
advocate
sector.
for the repeal of the law that removed the religious moral exemption to immunization?
So say yes, you want the option back.
Yes,
And what is, you want the religious exemption to
Yes.
come back?
which is a
Right
pretty
now, it's
flexible-
only a medical exemption.
And that's pretty open, pretty much for anyone that states it, correct?
No.
Oh, it's not, it's pretty tight on the
It's
religion.
been pretty- A religious exemption?
Yes.
Oh, religious exemption. I
Pretty
think
much.
that was part of the problem. There wasn't really like a
Yeah.
test. Whereas like a
They-
medical
they don't-
exemption, there is like,
they don't.
for operation,
They don't want the
like medical
religious
dressers.
And the rationale for NISBA in not supporting that repeal is for the safety and best interest of the child and security of the students.
Honestly, I mean, I don't know how you enforce it anyway. I mean, you know, I'm the Church of Seven Moons, and we don't believe in, you know, I don't know how you enforce, like, who's gonna go around and say, oh, yeah, Kevin Perry is the seven moon guy. I mean,
Yeah,
you
really.
know, I don't know how you
Making
enforce
sure.
it.
I'm sorry, so the reason they do want to repeal it is because they think the decision should be left to the parent.
Right.
And then the reason for the safety.
And when did children, it used to exist, right? Until when the religious exemption was in place until,
Yeah,
What?
20.
it wasn't that long ago, maybe 5.
2019,
Right.
it was not long.
It was not that
ago.
long ago.
Yeah, because we had, right when that happened, we had some community members, you might recall, in
Yes.
the library.
I do.
It was,
So if this were to be repealed and there was that exception there, what would that have done to us during coming out?
in terms of,
Coming out or going?
Now, is there any requirement organizations?
No, COVID.
That
No,
was-
COVID isn't.
What was the reason was repealed? Well, the exemption removed, do we know?
for the argument that it's unsafe for students around.
And
those-
staff. I mean, there's numerous reasons why,
Well,
but yeah, I hear it. But it was that way for years and years.
How many, I don't know, but.
Yeah, but it was a.
hold on.
Yeah.
No, I'm curious as to how,
Still is, like,
Yeah,
do you know what percentage of students we would typically get with that?
I don't, I mean, I know that they're, well, they don't come here, right?
Now.
No, but before, when it was. When it was
So
allowed.
I can only tell you in the 3 years that I was principal that I only had one student. But I mean, that's a small sample size, right?
Sure.
So yes is bring back the religious exemption, no is no.
Gotta say something.
You're still.
I
We
mean,
all praise it.
and I don't
Let's write it
understand,
down.
even with the religious part of it. I mean, suppose I just, I'm in a different group, I don't know how why it's a religious exemption.
So there was a form and you had to make your argument as to why. And so something, and this is not my opinion, this is something I have read on a form, said that there were human fetal byproducts where these immunizations were
Yes,
made.
yes.
And so for some folks, that is, their religion opposes that, and that was the reason for their religious moral exemption.
Somebody's gonna go to the Pope and say, hey, what do you think about this one? And that's whether it's exempt or not. I mean, you can't just go in and say, hey, I'm Catholic, so, and I don't believe in smallpox vaccine, so I'm not getting my kids.
Well, and I think it's bigger than that too, like, there's also like, folks from like the Islam community who, certain immunizations are made with like, pig serum. And so they, they don't believe in that, so I think those are just like separate examples, different religions have their different reasons for it. I think the bigger thing to know is people sometimes default to, well, then why don't they just send their kid to a private religious school? And the reality is that in order for them to access transportation or any district services, they have to be.
Right.
So it's bigger than just our public school. It actually closes doors for them regardless.
But it also creates risk for students with legitimate medical reasons why they just can't follow the immunization schedules.
Yeah, I'm just putting it out there that
Yep.
these decisions are bigger than just our public school classrooms.
Should like emphasize.
No, when I think of immunization, majority, I think, are thinking the flu vaccine, RSN or RSV, whatever that is the other one that, right?
But those aren't.
But
mandated.
when you talk
Right, none
about
of them-
smallpox and Ebola and.
Right.
Yeah, so the
I mean, these are-
required ones are like the DTaP, Tdap, polio, MMR,
But we could, if we said yes, we could, like, okay, you religious, you can not get it. that would cover smallpox and all the rest of them as well?
Smallpox
It-
is required.
I mean, what was
I'm
it,
sorry,
was the exception ever specific to one immunization, or was it a blanket?
I think
Not that I know of, because this is the required vaccine schedule,
So
so
once you have
any
an exception, you
deviation
can-
from it. It could be true that they would opt,
Right, someone may just opt out.
right, so it could
Right.
be that you're deviating from this, or it could be that you're not getting any, or it could be that you're just not
Or-
getting the one that you have the.
Or you're delaying, right?
Right.
You don't want to
And so
start
like,
at
in
five,
the case
but.
of like, in the case of a medical exemption, it could be true that their schedule is modified
Yes.
with agreement of the treating physician and the district
Yep.
physician.
Yep.
But it's based on an actual real medical diagnosis, with a rationale.
So, and also, say we voted yet, like, yes, you can have the right to opt out. And even though, like, if you looked at percentages of religions in the country, I think the majority are, you know, like, if it's a more rare type religion that might have an exemption, you know, I don't feel like it would be very, very small numbers, however.
And I think it's the interpretation of your religion. You could say you don't want to believe in it. It's not the actual religion coming out and saying, we don't take this stance. You,
Right,
you
but
can pretty
I
much
think
say.
they would have to,
But
you
you
would
have to have a
really
signature
have to have
from
some
somebody.
documentation there. However, what my point is, so say we said yes to this. And all of a sudden, some disease starts to rise up. They can always go back and say, now we are mandating that you have to get it.
That's
Well,
true.
that
That's
is what
true.
happened.
Right, so
They
We're
started
just trying to play
doing
like devil's
more
advocate.
No, that is, you're fine.
Tell people, yes, you know, if you have a religious exemption and you really don't want your child to be immunized for this, you know, God forbid, knock on wood, it never happened, something does start to rear its
It's
ugly
just one
head.
of those buttons that
That's
it's a tough one because, you know, if someone's doesn't have their shots and ends up infecting another child, you know what I mean? It's, you can look at it both
But
ways.
that's the whole thing of like, if your child has the shots, you can't get it from the child that doesn't have the shots. You know,
Well, I don't know, right? In theory, that's the purpose of being immunized.
right.
And so I think that this is a very difficult position too, because in the past, it came down to somebody from the school reading this argument and saying, true or not true, you have this religious concern, and like, who are we, right? Completely untrained in any of this to even make these decisions and determinations of like cost benefit, you know? It's a tough spot no matter what. We're either excluding kids because they're not on the catch-up schedule, or we're, you know, we're evaluating these religious exemption requests with no basis for any of this.
And they'll use that, you know, look, if all your kids are vaccinated and my kid isn't, your kids are safe, because we all know vaccines aren't 100%.
Right.
You know, so, I mean, you get a flu vaccine, you still get the flu. You don't get it as bad, hopefully, but you get it. I don't know.
When they used to have the religious exemption, oh God, now I just totally lost my question. Be up to the administration.
Yeah,
You
it
would
was a
literally
form
have
that
to-
would come in and we literally would have to evaluate it. And I mean, listen, not for nothing, full transparency, I have no idea how some of these vaccines are made. I don't know.
But you would have to take the time to go and research it and like it would be.
Sure, right, but we would also, we don't know what lot of vaccine, we don't, you know what I mean, like, there's so many different factors.
Right. Our medical.
Or you just say anybody.
Doctor.
It's not a medical exemption, it has
Oh, right,
nothing.
right,
to
yeah,
do
when
with
you're
it.
doing that, yeah.
Yeah,
But anybody, you know, and you can't say, well, I mean, Caroline can't be held responsible for Catholics don't
not.
believe in the whatever vaccine. You know, because that's gotta come from, I think, the Pope or at least the diocese. If it's, so it would be more of somebody walks in and says, here's my sheet, you know, I don't believe in getting the flu vaccine.
and
There it is.
it's a parent sheet, it's not,
Right,
I
right.
mean, there's no clergy weighing in on this, right?
Howard, what do you think?
Thing we could do is pass.
What's that?
We could pass something. Actually, we need more. I would like more information before I could pick, cast a vote, yea or nay. we could leave status quo, but you know, who are we? I'm not medically trained and I'm not trained, a theologian, so I pass. You know, I vote no, no way. No, yes, no, no.
Martina?
Same.
I oppose, the repeal.
So you're done.
Yeah.
So no religious exemption.
I'm sure I'm the outlier, but I am one for personal choice, so I'm gonna say yes.
I would say yes.
Three.
No, 2, 1, 2.
Doesn't matter. You're voting.
I would
You know, I really don't like any of you. So the yes, if I say
3 to 2
yes,
right now.
it's.
It's gonna be a tie.
Repeal it,
No, it's.
repeal the religious exemption. Yes,
Sure, okay, do you want them to be able to repeal?
Now, how it is.
repeal. What?
So, Harry,
If you say no, it stays the same. If you say yes, they're gonna repeal it, right?
Well,
Right.
that's the
That means you get the religious
yes, you
exemption
want the
back.
repeal?
Yes,
Yeah.
would be the
Yes,
real.
yes, but you want the exemption back for the religious, option.
No.
Okay, I want to make sure you're clear on that. That's all.
All right. Okay, bear with me, I have like 3 more, sorry. Number 31. NISBA shall oppose any legislation or NICER regulation mandating comprehensive K-12 gender and sexuality education. So do we want K-12 age appropriate sex ed?
K through 12, oh, wow.
Well,
Wait, can you go back to how?
Yeah. Everything.
Well,
I should take
yeah,
my
that
right.
would be good. Vaccination.
NISBA shall oppose any legislation or NICER regulation that mandates comprehensive K-12 gender and sexuality education. So what, and obviously it would be age appropriate. I thought of an example is when we have the trainings or the classroom presentations about like child abuse and whatnot, I thought, which starts at like pre-K, I thought, is that an example of something?
I don't think it's an example.
Oh, that's not.
I think it's like in second grade,
Okay.
talking about sexual identities and stuff like that. I think that's more of,
So,
more than that, but
so a yes means we oppose it?
You oppose it being mandated.
not believe in this.
If we say yes, then we oppose the mandate. Yeah, correct.
We say yes, by agreeing with them.
We're opposing it, it's
Because
mandated.
Right.
NISBA's saying that they're going to oppose any mandate on the
Okay.
court. We're saying yes, oppose, or no, we want the mandate.
Right.
So there is a certain level of that education in our school, student has classes and stuff on it, but it's not mandated, is that how it works?
But it's not K through
No.
12,
When do we
and
start?
it's pretty prescribed in the curriculum.
So the curriculum already
Yeah.
requires some
Yes.
checkpoints along the way, just
And
not a
The
comprehensive.
Like
science
in-
biological lens.
In health,
Like,
okay.
it's less about sexual.
And they're saying that the real focus of it is like the mandate, like they're really emphasizing.
Yes,
Okay, Howard,
Yes.
Yes.
Chris,
yes.
Jen,
Yes,
yes. Chris,
Yes.
yeah,
And then number 32 is NISBA to oppose any legislation or NICER regulation that would allow biological males to participate in female athletics. So that we would not want biological males to participate in female athletics.
Under any
Yeah,
circumstances,
it's kind of
because we
weird.
do,
Yeah.
what happened to the other one? Just,
Yeah, we
I
voted.
think that was the proposed changes.
Yeah, and this would actually, so that,
This
the
actually
last one we
locks it
voted
down.
on was to keep the status quo, this one would be to.
So it,
backwards.
Even further.
Yeah.
yeah, so that's what the rationale says, is that if that previous resolution actually passes and they take away that significant adverse effect, then they want to advocate to repeal that the regulation.
That allows mixed competition in the
Right.
first place. Okay.
wait, what?
It's
Okay.
only male.
So, as it exists now, males and female can play mixed competition sports with that significant adverse effect clause, so that there is some sort of test.
Right,
That, yes, we're going to allow, so-and-so to play, but we've, seen that physical maturity, whatever the case, doesn't give them an unfair advantage, will not cause a significant adverse impact on the female players. So there's these other set of proposals that have come forward. Like I said, removing any mention of gender or sex from the regulations. Everybody can play. There's a team, you can play the boys team, you can play the girls team, whatever, right? And so at this point, NISBA just said that we're opposing the newly proposed regulation. And Dina's saying that they're saying if that goes through, then we're pushing to repeal and say boys cannot play girls sports at all.
So yes, is
No,
that-
NISBA is opposing yeah. So they
So,
want-
so if we say yes, meaning we're doing what NISBA wants, or saying we like NISBA.
So I think that, sorry, because I think I'm like getting confused. So do we want to oppose legislation that would allow biological males to participate in female athletics? Do we want laws that would allow that or no?
But it already does, I thought this was to restrict that completely from being completed.
So it's actually not that clear, and that's actually the resolutions committee said that we cannot also agree with this because the wording is not that clear.
Right, so
Would that
mean, males and females can't be on cheerleading?
Right.
I'm sorry, can you read it for me just one more time?
Sorry, okay. That NISBA oppose any legislation or NYSED regulation that would allow biological males to participate in female athletics. So this is, some schools propose this resolution, they want NISBA to oppose such legislation, and NISBA saying, no, we're not gonna oppose such legislation.
I don't know how I feel about the subject in general, I just want to ask you.
I know, exactly.
Okay, so school district A wrote to NISBA and said, we are requesting that you oppose any legislation that would allow a male to play on a female sports team. NISBA is saying, no, we will not oppose it. So the question is, do we want NISBA to oppose any legislation allowing a male to participate? That would be a yes. Or do we say we think males should be able to participate on female sports? That would be a no.
Is there such thing as mixed sports?
Currently, yes. So
Would this prohibit that also?
That's not in the question.
it does sound,
It's not.
yeah, it's because this sounds like an under any circumstance kind of thing. So I can tell you that I coached gymnastics for many years. We played against, we participated in meets with male athletes all the time. They got their own scores and.
Yeah, see this,
open up the whole realm of the whole controversy of males participating in the community.
Yeah.
It's restricted.
Well, this is saying.
Right, well, you're kind of damn if you do, damn if you
But
don't.
if there's the existing rules that there's no.
Involved in events, right, yeah.
I mean, you're not gonna allow a boy who's
Right.
6 foot tall, 190 pounds.
Well, I think that
Right.
the issue is if the other legislation that is as proposed goes through.
Yeah.
It comes down to gender identity. So if you identify as female, you can participate in a female athletic team. This is saying we're going back to biology, and if you are a biological male, you cannot participate in a female athletic team.
see that's, without the physical impact, I don't know how you say yes. But I don't know how you say no if there's, I mean, you said, you don't want to take a heavyweight male weightlifter. And I mean, it ends up where, I can say from personal experience, it ends up where, the female ends up the number 3 runner in the state because there's 2 boys that are on the team that are now the 1 and 2.
Right.
It's, I don't
But
know.
you don't wanna exclude them from something that is more.
What, exactly,
evenly-
Yeah, that's
Right.
the problem.
exactly.
So, and I think that that's where the safety test came from, like without the significant adverse impact
Did the adverse impact also address competitive?
advantage.
Yeah.
It was it was about safety. So, for example, right?
But it kind of got to it in some way, because if there was no safety risk, there was probably unlikely to be
Correct.
an accessory.
Correct, correct.
Mhm.
So putting, Chris, for example, on a female volleyball team, right? I mean, height alone, he has the advantage.
I thought you meant Chris.
Right, so, but that's, I mean, like the height advantage alone, right? He's got clearance over the net, far different than some of the female players. So doing something like that is, you know, there's a significant adverse, potentially could pose a significant adverse impact. And so that is, I think, where the athletic community is saying, that's our main concern. If you put a safety requirement in, because there was at one point, it was, you know, to be evaluated by administration and the athletic director and, you know, doctor, parent, whatever. There was a whole process about whether it was safe or not. And now they're trying to do away with some of that. And I think that's where these concerns are coming from. My problem is all of these are worded so confusing.
Right.
I will.
I mean, if you're, let's say you're trying out for the male team and you get cut. So then you try out for the female team, you make the female team, but now two girls get cut because, you know, there's no room. I mean, for Millbrook, it's not an issue because we never have enough players.
And it
anyway.
could work the opposite way,
But,
in all fairness, I mean,
Yeah,
it's not always health, it's not always safety, it's competitive edge. one
well,
way or
that's
the
what I'm
other.
saying, yeah. It's more competitive edge in that case.
I wanted to add, I don't know if it helps, that the resolution committee also said not only that the writing was not clear, but because number 22, which was the issue about the opposing the amendment about taking away the significant adverse effect and how we are in support of opposing that amendment, they're basically saying, well, because we support 22, it kind of takes care of this, you don't need to worry about this, because it's kind of like a backup plan, it seems.
So we just abstain from this one. Or the way we want to.
Absolutely.
Howard?
Yeah, you know, let's, I abstain.
It is tough, I think that's a good thing to abstain, because I agree, I don't think it's clear enough.
More information is needed.
Sure.
Depend almost.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the last one is number 33. And it reads, NISBA shall oppose any legislation or NICED regulation that would mandate any recommendations from the Blue Ribbon Commission, including mandating the culturally responsive sustaining education framework. So, it basically wants schools to control their own curriculum based on their local needs. And they concern is that they do not want to be mandated by the state on what is taught in schools.
The minute they put that word mandate, I have a hard time.
Oh, we already.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
90% of everything we do is mandated, but doesn't mean we have to agree with that one.
Yeah.
We should put one in that says, from now on, all mandates must come with the equivalent money required. Make them put that.
We need to vote on that. We need to vote on. It was a yes.
Which one says-
NISBA said to oppose this because they would like to have mandate the culturally responsive.
Right, so yes is agree, we should.
Correct, we should have,
Should vote.
We should oppose them.
we should have both.
that's what, yes.
Yeah.
I was just asking how we need to vote there.
Oppose mandate. Yeah.
We'll never happen.
I think,
So if I'm saying yes, I'm opposing the mandate.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so.
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, that is the last. If anyone has any questions on any of the other ones, or issues, just let them know.
Should we take like a 10-minute break here? If I can speak it.
We could not attempt to take no break.
Yeah.
Are you mandating that we can't take a break? Tina, I'm just gonna say thank you. Don't ever put me on that committee.
It's a one person committee, you see?
Oh,
I don't know why it's one person.
Exactly. It's Gina, so good.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you,
Tina.
Gina.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
One of the things that we need to do, last thing on my list is, we need to talk about board goals, like where we're gonna head. I think we should, not just consider, changes in the school and direction, but also, if we did a workshop after, say, the 20 or November something, we could talk about what we do. Are you guys okay if we start looking to schedule a workshop like early December? Okay. All right. Let's see. Sue.
Okay, well, I will, try and move as quickly as possible. For instruction, our second grade team has been working with Shelley Klein on early literacy. Dr. Sobrin has returned for, working with all the grade level teams on differentiated math instruction. Yesterday at our faculty meeting, Anna Nairati, who is our ENL coordinator, gave a beautiful presentation on the experience of ELs in our classrooms. She did like a full immersive activity to allow adults to feel what it would feel like for a student who is a non-native speaker to be in our classrooms with no skills in terms of language acquisition, to be able to navigate the classroom for an activity with directions and everything. And then she provided all of the support for the teachers. So it was sort of a simulation, and then she provided a bunch of resources that our teachers can use in supporting our L students. It was fabulous, and actually she sends out a response form asking teachers, how can I best help you? Is there something specific that you need? And there was a lot of participation in that feedback form, so it shows the interest that our folks are engaged and they're looking for information and support. So we were really happy to see that. Train Technologies was here to complete a lighting survey last Thursday, and also representatives from both Train Technologies and the Colombo group attended our back to school nights in all 4 buildings. And so just recently at the high school, and both of them, Lou Rodriguez from the Colombo group and Matt Kansas from Train Technologies were the high bidders on some of the silent auction items. So thank you for their contribution to our interactive club as well. In terms of athletics, our fall sports are well underway, and participation numbers are pretty strong. So we want to thank the MEF for the Bright Ideas Grant for the athletic department for new helmet covers that are designed to prevent concussions. So the Guardian caps are mandated through all of the full contact practices. So thank you to the MEF for supporting and keeping our kiddos safe. The boys and girls varsity soccer programs coordinated a pink out to benefit cancer research. They had a double header under the lights against Ontiora. And thank you to sports boosters who helped arrange all of that. Our homecoming festivities are coming up this weekend with a football game on the 10th and the dance on the 11th. And so it is Spirit Week. Miss Lynch and I are dressed as twins. Today is twin day, so we have the same outfit on. I'm very proud of it. It took all day for someone to notice. And so there were many others yesterday who were dressed like Adam Sandler in the secondary schools or characters from Adam Sandler movies. And in the elementary schools, they were dressed as Disney characters. So that was super cute. And the intent to participate is on Family ID for all interested winter athletes. This is really important, as we are looking at potential for low participation in both basketball and softball. We need to have these numbers as soon as possible, because we will have to consider mergers if we do not have the numbers to sustain our own programs. So really important, that form is set to close on October 15th. So we ask everybody who's interested in participating to please log on to Family ID and state your participation interest.
Did that go out to the parents?
It
like
did.
an email?
There was a letter that went out with an explanation of, where we are in terms of membership programs.
I'm gonna go back and look at it, but I feel like it was a little confusing. So it said something about like a Google survey that going out to all the students. When I asked about that, I was told that my son never got it.
Okay.
I'll go back and I thought I'd look once you see it though.
Okay, well, I can, double check about that. So we can double check on that. I'm not sure how it went out, if it went out through their district email. We can find out. And we have some students who have a grassroots interest in creating a wrestling program. So there are some of our early high school students, and so there is, Weaver has some new wrestling mats, I believe. They have a couple of students who are also interested. Mr. Hamill and their athletic director have been talking, and they have a conceptual 3-year plan of how they might be able to make this happen for our kiddos. So right now, Weaver has a wrestling club. They don't have competition mats. So if we were to send our students over there for wrestling club, that would require transportation. That would be a this year plan. Next year, we would be able to have a wrestling team and participate at away events only. So we would sign up for away meets only. And then in the 3rd year, we could look to purchase the proper like competition size mats. So at this point in time, what we would be seeking would be a permission from the board to look into transporting them to Weaver for this club activity.
How, what kind of requirements are there on? Well, is wrestling fall, winter, spring? It's winter. Is there any requirements on team size? I'm assuming you could have a wrestling team. Couple kids in it, too, yeah.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of.
In fact, this is probably, a long time ago, but I remember we had 2 kids here that were the wrestling team. Probably 15 years ago, but then I think they wrestled as part of something like that.
And so that's why they're looking at like a stepwise 3-year kind of plan to see like, do the students really invest in this? You know, do they really find that this is something they actually want to do? Having the away meets next year, seeing if this is viable before we invest, you know, significant money into the equipment.
And what are the other winter sports we do?
Basketball, winter track, and there's a competition cheer.
Volleyball's not. It's ball.
That's happening now.
Long term, I think small sports like that are a great idea for athletes busy, but it does also spread them thinner. It's gonna make it harder and harder to form team sports.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would say to that is if these kiddos are interested in wrestling, but they're not gonna go play something else, I'm
Yeah,
kind of
absolutely.
happy that they're interested in anything, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
Love it.
the sports we play should come from what the students are interested
A lot of cases too, you use these sports like wrestling was always it's a precursor, but it was always you learn how to fall, you learn how to grapple. And if you're a football player, you want to know not to smash your head on the floor. You want to know how to take people down. It was always, in bigger schools, it was sort of an unwritten rule. You play football, you wrestled, you rode crew, then you play football again. Be nice if we could get back to something or get to something like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of conditioning and stuff that goes along with that, you know, so if anything, I can work with those who are interested more active.
Okay.
Okay, and so I just want to say a couple of thank yous. Thank you to Millbrook Fire Department for their fire prevention assembly and giving students the opportunity to touch a truck. They love exploring fire trucks. Thank you to the PTO and our parent volunteers for making our scholastic book fair a huge success. Alden Place had a kindness club meeting and made cards for military personnel, this past Wednesday. There were 68 students who participated in that. So congratulations to Ms. Bulvar, who really built that club up significantly. Junior Interact met for the first time this past Friday, so they're exploring some volunteer activities. And Walden Place Pictures will be on October 9th. It's Crazy Sock Day also, and I know Mrs. Lynch was there to see the 5th grade assembly with the Kate counselor, so I'm sure she'll talk about that. And then just some upcoming events on that.
Questions?
Is the event on October 17th for internet safety going to be available online?
It's going to be internet safety in person next Thursday from 6:30 to 8 p.m. at Millbrook High School auditorium.
Okay, will it be videotaped like available or just?
No, it's not going to be streamed, but Tall Cop in January, that'll be virtual, and that's on Draw the Trends.
Okay, thank you. I have a question as well on the intent to participate. Is this a new idea or has that, no? And is it available other forms than just on Family ID? And do we have a great participation on Family ID?
So Family ID is the way that athletes have to register anyway. So it's really just an easy way to survey that population. And the reason that they have to register on Family ID has to do with, their like physical and 30-day health history that needs to be done within 30 days of register, like of the season starting. So that's why it's an intent to participate, because as it gets closer to the season starting, there will actually be the registration process.
If I remember correctly, all families get an email basically saying, here are the sports coming up, and then click the school tool to go and register, right? So you're kind of getting a,
Yeah.
an email saying, hey, this is what you got to do, and then you go to, it tells you how to get there.
And I was just double checking. The one I got actually says that a Google form was emailed to all of the student accounts. And that Family ID will open up on the 21st of October.
That's for registration.
Yeah, I've gone in once and I didn't see any sports to mark as registered. Everything's happening through the form directly with kids.
Okay. I will double check with Mr. Yes.
Anything else? All right.
All right, hi, everybody. So I'll try and keep this brief, and I'll highlight some exciting, new things that are happening this year. So for school, you'll see on my board report, I have highlighted school counseling, SEL, CAVE, upcoming dates and professional development. For school counseling, we just had our fall advisory council. Thank you, Chris, for being a part of that as a parent and board member.
Thank you.
School counselors presented to the advisory council their 24-25 school year goals that surrounded ruler and our Alden grade 3 through 5 push-in counselor-led lessons. So our goals for ruler are to have our counselors really pound in on focusing on the tools and skills that are taught and instructed by teachers, but bringing that into their conversations and individual and group counseling sessions with students. And the way we're going to track our SEL data and rulers effectiveness is collecting aggregated data that counselors will then present in our spring advisory. And for our counselor-led lessons at Alden, that is new this year. So we're really excited to say that we're having our counselors push into 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. Twice a month, 5th grade is going to have a few more sessions because Mrs. Domino's pushing in for goal setting, and that'll lead into middle school where they'll have her as a school counselor. But the focus of the lessons will surround academic, college, and career at SEL. For October 5th, we had financial aid night where our junior and senior students and parents had the opportunity to participate in financial aid night led by Dutchess Community College. This event included topics on financial aid, the Excelsior Scholarship, FAFSA loan scholarships, grants, and work study. So it was exciting to see a number of parents and some of the students with their parents to receive those types of information. Please take advantage of our middle school and high school and student services web pages I update all three of those with the support of receiving information from the school counselors, and they're linked into my report. So if you have some free time, please browse through and see the types of resources that our families have access to. And our students as well. You'll see that I often update news and announcements from the school counseling offices that provide opportunities for our students, including scholarships. And then on student services, you can find information pertaining to CAPE, McKinney-Vento, SEL, Ruler, and more. For SEL, I'm currently researching SEL screeners that meet our school district needs to assess and monitor SEL district-wide. And I'm currently attending the SEL collegial circle at PNW BOCES, where I'm able to connect and network with local school districts. And topics surround programming surrounding Ruler, SEL benchmarks, and SEL screeners. Those are all our current focus areas, and I'd like to say I'm very proud to represent Millbrook when I go to these circles, because we are really doing well with Ruler compared to other districts, and I'm able to provide our experiences thus far and support other local school districts. As for CAPE, as Caroline had mentioned, I was able to observe Mrs. Dora Celestino, our fifth grade CAPE counselor today at Alden, and students were so enthusiastic and involved and with participation with topics surrounding effective communication and building healthy relationships. It was great to see Ms. Celestino really build these relationships with students and have them identify what healthy relationships look like and what effective communication looks like. Some upcoming dates, I have put out with working with Laura Fasheen an SEL series for this year. So I'm trying to keep things organized this year and alert families of events that are happening for the school year early on, so they can arrange childcare arrangements. So you'll see we have our New York's Finest Speakers, as I had clarified, is in person next Thursday from 6:30 to 8 p.m. And we're welcoming back New York's Finest Speakers. They presented 2 years ago. And we had a lot of good feedback from those who attended, who requested that we bring them back and that families would spread the words them in for our next visit with New York's Finest Speakers. So please spread the word, whoever's watching and everybody who's here. We did receive a lot of positive feedback from them 2 years ago. And that is for our parents and guardians. Then on January 8th, Tall Cop will be presenting, which we're also bringing back from 2 years ago. And this is a virtual presentation for families who are not really able to come in person. So I'm trying to have a balance between in-person and virtual, and that'll be on drug awareness. And then we will welcome our organizations back for a wellness fair, April 28th, for parents, but also families. Last year was our first annual wellness fair, and I was very impressed with the outcome of it. So I am going to invite more vendors back this year. I actually had vendors reach out to me and say that they heard from other vendors how great it was. So I put them on the list. I'll be inviting them this year. And I'm also hoping to arrange a wellness fair that day, since it's on a Monday, for our staff. So staff can have the opportunity to engage in health and wellness. And then lastly, I was excited to attend the Safety Threat Assessment and Management Team Summit in Albany with Caroline last week. We connected and networked with local school districts and safety, security, and emergency service providers on safety, compliance, and management. And lastly, in addition to the SEL Collegial Circle, I'm also attending a school counselors forum, and I'm rotating between our school counselors who I'm bringing with me, so they each get a taste of collaborating with local school districts surrounding school counseling, and then we can work together as a team to turnkey and then, you know, improve our school counseling for Millbrook Central School District.
Question?
I just want to expand upon the, your comment about the New York Finest Speakers, the internet safety. I did attend, what, 2 years ago?
Yes.
It was phenomenal. I mean, parents might think, I mean, my children aren't allowed to go on the internet without me. And you might think, and if your child doesn't have a phone, but when there are other places, they may be exposed. And so it's never too early to start, you know, finding out what's really going on out there.
I
And
think
how to
it's coming
keep
to the
your,
realization that we're getting out of touch and
Yes.
things change constantly.
yes,
And parents don't know what the
Right.
rules are and what websites and everything else.
Yeah.
So it's a
Yeah.
scary place out there.
even video games and even searching online,
Yeah.
pop-ups that come up, so the children click on them, if they see something that's interesting, that's why they want to buy, but then it takes them somewhere that's not
Yeah,
their office to be.
Access.
So it's not just about texting and
That's right.
sending inappropriate messages
Mhm.
or photos, it's about the dangers of internet safety across all boards.
So I encourage, I mean, parents as young as, with children at Alton, or, I mean,
Even
even Elm.
Absolutely. They have tablets, right? And they have their access to the internet through tablets, so we have to be mindful of that too.
Anything else?
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. Mr. Joe.
Yeah, tomorrow, I'd like to thank the facilities team for keeping up, good work, and keeping our kids safe and the district clean. We manicure all district wetland areas. We commence the monthly meetings with all school principals. The athletic field has been winterized for the season. We install the remaining automatic flush sounders for toilets and urinals district-wide. And we started the touchless faucets. The high school painted all the guardrails leading up to the entrance of the grounds. We installed a new lock and hardware on the library entrance doors for lockdown purposes. We upgraded the auditorium sound and lighting system, and the necessary staff have been trained on it. So we have numerous people that know how to use it for any kind of events. The middle school, we repaired the coiling unit which was leaking in the breather area. We replaced the original water fountain with the new water fountain bottle filler on the third floor hallway by the gym. We assembled picnic tables for additional outdoor learning space, and we had 300 feet of cable for the internet, so the kids could sit outside on the third floor. In good weather and all have internet connections. We installed a wall to create a conference room, we relocated HVAC units and assisted with administration office staff folks. And we also updated the security alarm system. At Elm, we installed an interactive flat panel display board in the library. The boiler was inspected by the Hartford Steam Boiler Company as required by the district's insurance company. At Alden, we installed a new vanity in the staff bathroom. We installed new ground matting in the Gaga pit on the playground. We replaced the damaged window blinds in one of the bathrooms. We converted 3 blackboards into whiteboards with that dry erase things. So instead of purchasing a new whiteboard, convert the blackboard into a whiteboard at a lower cost. We painted all the basketball backboards and we seal coated the basketball court in the back of Walden. And we're in the process of painting pickleball courts, which is really nice and a hopscotch thing for the new guys. So, it was a big change in the back if you look at it. It was like kind of speculated for a while, they weren't using it. So we freshened it all up. Great. Questions?
Good. Question? Comments? Very good, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll also try to be brief, as I know we've got a lot going on tonight. We already did the audits. You saw in the report, we're working, Ashley and I have been, spoke with the auditors before today's meeting, so we have drafted our corrective action plans to present to the board. I hope to have them to you at the next meeting, certainly while I have that. School tax collection update, just want to give you the numbers. So, as you may or may not know, October 2nd is the deadline to submit your taxes without incurring the penalty. As of October 1st, we've collected roughly 73% of our total tax, expected tax revenue, or roughly just under $20 million of our tax levy. So by and large, we've got the majority of the operating capital that we need for the year already submitted, and a bunch of checks have come in since this report was generated, even today. As a reminder to our taxpayers, any school taxes received on or after October 3rd through November 1st will include a 2% late fee. Just a note on the personnel office, we're still recruiting for a family and consumer science teacher lead replacement. We also are in need of temporary and substitute nurses, food service workers, and substitutes across the board, both instructional and non-instructional. So anybody that's interested in coming to work for the district, our website has an apply button right on the right-hand side. You can click that link, it takes you right to our recruitment page where the applications and job postings are listed. On the facility side, just, John covered a lot of stuff. I just wanted to also add that our middle school roof was fully scanned, and that scan is actually posted on our website under our capital project plan supporting documentation. So there's a lot of rut on it, not unexpected, but it's a graphical illustration of the condition of the middle school roof. So we did add that up. Our facilities team is working on seasonal preparation, so they're winterizing the outdoor fields, they're winterizing our air conditioning equipment, getting our boilers prepped, Mr. Mullins, to make sure that we're ready to make heat throughout the district. And all of our related systems are being winterized. We're also, with all this talk about hurricanes and tropical even impact for some of these storms to track north, even if we get just a touch of them, it's not coincidental that I'm mentioning that after the roof condition of the middle school. So I think we've put a lot of thought this week in particular into reacting and responding to emergency weather conditions, not just the snow and ice that we plan for every winter, but also flash floods, downpours, especially issues of flooding that can be compounded by the autumn season of leaves falling, roof drains getting clogged, catch basins getting backed up. So our facilities team is putting extra attention on all of that drainage and preventative maintenance work that goes along with seasonal prep, not just for the snow and ice that's going to come in a couple of months, potentially, but also in the heavy rains that are happening this time of year as well. It's not in my report, but I also wanted to highlight, kind of related to operations, our safety committee was contacted by Putnam County School District. They've asked if they could come and observe our safety drills and asked for our help to send people down there to help them with theirs. So as you all are very well aware, our superintendent Caroline has been at the forefront of school safety for quite some time. And our teams in every building have just proven that the work that we're doing in preparation for emergencies is fantastic and really at the cutting edge for not just even our county, but for the greater Hudson Valley region. So kudos to all of our safety teams and our administrators and staff that have put a lot of time and effort into getting ready for every possible eventual emergency. And the fact that we're being tapped by districts outside of our county is really a testament to the work that our full district-wide safety team has put in. So we just wanted to cheerlead that during tonight's presentations. For the technology team, we've got a new help desk technician, Joe Macaluso. He's doing a great job. He's working hand in hand with Mr. Eads. So the tech team is finally fully staffed again after quite some time of being shorthanded. And we're looking forward to seeing that team flourish as well. Just wanted to make a public note about our school tool updates. So as you all know, we went back to the newest version of school tool this year for student information. We rolled out the parent portal right at the beginning of the year. Well, since then, we've also introduced the student portal, and students in middle school and Millbrook High School now can access their own information through the school tool portal. They can do it right from their Chromebooks that everybody was issued. Information on how to log in has been sent to all of our students and our building staff as well. So our kids can now track their grades in real time, just like you can. Again, that's strictly for middle school and high school students at this time. Transportation, we just wanted to, again, credit where it's due. There's a pretty significant road closure right on Route 82, right through the middle of our district. In addition to the smaller bridges that have been renovated. I mean, I was on the buses in August with our transportation supervisors, rerouting around small closures in our neighborhoods. We had one in the village, we had one down towards Unionville. We just had this major one on 82. Our transportation team at First Student has done a fantastic job of really minimizing any delays to our families, communicating those delays, whether it's the driver or the dispatchers calling home, but keeping our people informed and trying to minimize any impacts to our community. So I just wanted to thank them for the work that they've done relatively quickly. I mean, we were notified probably 2 weeks before the closure happened about what was going on.
Well, do we, that was the question I was gonna ask you is, do we actually get regular updates from the state, from the county, from the village?
Yes, we're getting bi-weekly emailed updates from the DOT engineer that's supervising this project.
That's the one on 82.
On 82, yeah. The smaller local ones, we don't get as much communication. This one being a state road, the state DOT engineer, I got to give a lot of credit. She's been in touch with us, sending us drawings, timeline updates. They may be able to get ahead of this prior to the estimated December 30th, and if they can, they're gonna let us know as soon as it's feasible to do so. And the last thing was our capital project notes. I just, again, Caroline spoke about our back to school nights. Really appreciate the project team members for coming out and supporting the work and being there to share information. People, I think sometimes they hear us speak, but when you hear the design professionals themselves giving you the background information, it's really helpful. And I thank them for being here. Just as a reminder, our referendum vote is November 19th from 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. here in the middle school building, right down in the auditorium lobby where we usually have our May votes. Sprague is available for voter registration information. I believe that's still available.
It is, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's a bunch of collateral that we're getting on the website. We have some information that's coming out. So we're going to be sending out a lot more information to the families, not just about the bottom line price tag of the project, but really what the impact to taxpayers is going to be once we peel off the state aid and the capital reserves and cash that we have available. So we're trying to help people get a clear picture of, we were asking for a large authorization, but really the impact to them is quite a bit less than the bottom line number, and that's
35%.
yeah, 35%. So, you know, we're finding ways to cover over 65% of the total cost of the work and really helping families understand what that means for them. And again, not to get too deep into it, but we just want to remind folks that authorizing this project, the tax impact would not be felt for at least another 2 to 3 years. I mean, we're looking at the earliest impact being felt in the 27, 28 years. So it's not immediate, and we're gonna get a lot of information out to families in the coming days and weeks about exactly what that impact looks like.
And I did want to thank you for putting it on the front page of the website. It's across the top. It's under capital project. It's like the fifth tab and across the top. Plus once you click on it now, there's a lot more information as far as the last Board of Education meeting where the presentation was. We have our slides on there. Couple dates as far as our public forums. So there's a lot more information on there. I'm just more saying this so everybody knows out there. If they want to pop on and listen.
Is there an idea when mailers should go out and, oh, okay, great. And then, and dates for, public meetings.
Yeah, we have all that posted. Dr. Watkins has actually the sample that we just got this morning, so I'm able to share with you.
So the 2 dates that we have listed on here, the 30th and the 13th, are those pretty much the only 2 we're gonna do, or?
At this time, I think those are the ones that we have scheduled.
In addition.
Yeah.
Right, and we were at every back to school night with slides and presentations and.
We also have some video clips that will be going out, starring.
Question for Elias?
I would just like to say, I can only speak for our bus driver, but they were great. Like trying to compensate for whatever it was. The communication was fantastic and they were really super, so.
Yeah, and even out by you in Salt Point, they're ripping up large
Yeah,
sections of
it's-
Salt
yeah.
Point turnpikes.
Getting anywhere is a nightmare, but they're doing a great job.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Very good, thank you, Elias. All right, we had a late.
You got one more?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Never mind. We had a late person showing up.
Nothing to see here. Actually, there's plenty to see here. Some of it was already discussed, but it was actually under my community relations update. So this, we received a copy of the flyer that will go home. I'll pass it around in a moment, but we tried to simplify our regular budget newsletter, obviously, because it's just the capital project, and really focus on the visuals that we have of specifically what the total project cost is, what's on the ballot, because that's so important for people to see that number, but what they will pay out of their tax impact and what we will do with that money. So it's tried to really use graphics because we know sometimes, as was reported in the spring, these sometimes land on top of the garbage can near the post office. So even if it lands this way, we feel like we're giving some good messages out there, even if it doesn't get opened with more detailed information and a graphic as well inside. So as Superintendent Hernandez also alluded to, Laura Fasheen, our communications specialist, and I worked, with Caroline and Ellie to putting together, videos. So they did some, cameo appearances on a green screen. Wait to see coming to, social media near you. So those will not only be sent out as clips, like reels, if you go on Instagram, kind of those short reels, in the bulletin that comes out on with the Millbrook Minute Weekly, but they'll be on Facebook and our Instagram page for people to see. She's also, trying to encourage, various local Facebook pages to share that information out. So if you happen to have a Facebook page and you see one of these reels and you're members of bunches of other groups, we strongly encourage you to share it just to make sure those messages get out. We try to incorporate as much as the details that are on here, but through faces that people are aware of and know, and address some of the questions out there. So look for that. Thank you, Mr. Rosenberg, for noticing the capital project at the top of the webpage. That was posted as soon as the budget, after that board meeting, because we had to wait for it to be voted on. So that next day, Cheryl and I worked on making sure all of those presentations that we had were updated. So as we continue to get the videos and those are loaded, those will also go on the webpage. Ms. Barnes is working on a single page version of the same thing. That'll also go on. We're waiting for it to come from the printer. This was just a preview for us to look at. But we'll keep loading that. Yep, I was gonna pass it around. So we'll keep including all of that on the webpage so that people are aware of it. Social media, really, in addition to that flyer, is gonna be our main focus to try to reach everybody in the community. Just because we understand that in addition to the 2 meetings, while several people attended, they weren't greatly attended. It wasn't a great representation because evenings are difficult. We recognize that. And we also recognize in today's time, if you can get someone for 30 seconds, that's a captive audience. So trying to break up our presentation into these short bits of information, so someone can scroll by it and see it on social media. Hopefully they're going to see enough to at least drive them to our website to get more. So that's our strategy for this one.
And I just want to echo what Dr. Watkins was saying. So you may remember that we used an outside vendor to do our budget newsletter and our print materials for the capital project last time. This was all done by our Mrs. Barnes, our graphic arts teacher. And I think she did a fabulous job. So I just want to acknowledge that publicly, that we made the decision to bring that back in-house. She definitely delivered, so.
Yeah, she did. It's a great savings, but huge talent on her end. Very, very good. Very good. This was mentioned at the last meeting, but just a shout out again to Central Hudson and the United Way of Dutchess Orange region for the weatherization kits that they, I was made available, that they were available and requested 10 kits per building. I know a few of the boxes have gone, so there are still more in each of the buildings. So if any families watching, or anyone that you know, is still interested, all of the items are in my report. So if you want to read through and see if you need any of those items, I just felt it was nice to have that connection of sustainability. There also is a lottery, that's a raffle that's included in that. So if you decide to do that. Instructionally, I wanted to congratulate our new first grade teacher, Mr. Levine. He will be joining our staff tomorrow. That's so fabulous. And so he's going to be joining. He was very eager to come to us. He comes with wonderful recommendations and was fabulous with the students, because part of the interview process, in addition to going through a full round of questions with us, is coming back and doing a demo. And then in addition to debriefing with our candidates, we also talk to our students, and we value what they say, and they adored Mr. Levine. So we can't wait for him to start the day with them tomorrow, because we're pretty sure they're going to be very excited. We are also in the process of interviewing for our STEAM candidates. We've started that process already. We'll resume once Ms. O'Connell gets back, but we're excited to hopefully come back at the next meeting with a new STEAM teacher. That position is replacing from the resignation that was accepted tonight from Sarah Sullivan from the library. So we're reimagining how we can best utilize that time to support our students in that special time that they have built into their day. So that person can incorporate reading of books, in addition to working on problem-based learning through the STEM, academics. And they will also have, an aide, because this will be a shared position between Olden and Elm. So the same TA that will be coming down to read, or, an aide to read books, and check in and check out books will be there as well. So we feel like this is a nice way to support our students' learning and, meet the computer science digital fluency standards as well. Friday is, early release day, so it's not a ton of time, but just to make sure our parents know your child is going to be coming home early. So we have time to spend as faculty, and for 6 through 12, they're going to be working within their departments. We have Garrett Jones Roy, returning back. He's going to be working with ELA and social studies on some specific items that I've listed here. We also have our PK5 teachers are going to be looking at their data. 3-5 is specifically doing a crosswalk between our 3 through 5 testing data. Now that that is available, it's in DataMate, so they can do some bigger dive into the item analysis, as well as their benchmark data, and seeing are there any trends that they're noticing. Particularly if I now have a 5th grade student, they took the 4th grade exam, how did they do? And then what do I need to do with my students that I have now? So it's a nice way to look back and forward at the same time. And then our science department is looking more deeply at the changes to the science assessments, the various assessments and science investigations that are happening. Math department is also doing a deep dive within our region set 3 through 8 testing. So counselors also have something. So all of those things, I know it's been long, so I don't want to go too much longer, but are in there. And finally, I just have been collaborating just because when you are so small and you only have 2 or 3 people in a department, working with the other Weebatuck and Dover and Pine Plains, just to see what they are doing on their superintendent's conference days at well. And just, we spent the day, like an hour, talking today about what our plans are and exchanging ideas in an effort to collaborate when possible. And they were actually interested in anything we had to offer on pre-K. So I invited them to come visit our pre-K, have their teachers come visit our pre-K. Because I feel like that's the best professional development. They've done so well within within the last 2 years. So I will look forward to sharing more about that. Thanks, Perry.
Any other questions? Questions?
Thank you.
All right.
Yes.
We have a new piece of business that we need to take care of. Before we can do that, I need to a motion to change the agenda to add a one item under new business. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Do you have the,
Hey, did you want me to read it or?
yeah, please.
On the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, a motion to adopt the following resolution. Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby accepts the resignation for the purposes of retirement of Cheryl Devine from her position as senior typist effective the end of business November 1st of 2024. Mrs. Devine has been with the district for 15 years.
Do you have a motion? Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Comments? Questions?
Thank you for 15 years.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
like to say, thank you very much. All in favor? Any against? Right. Future agenda items, you know where it is, you know what it's up. Public comment question period, nobody here, anything online?
No.
Okay, we have, proposal to go to executive session. Before we do that, please be aware that, when we come back from executive session, we may need to take action on things that were discussed during executive session, so it's not necessarily the end of the meeting, just for your awareness. Do I have a motion to go to executive session?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any against? 5 minutes? 10 minutes, whatever you do.